Coming up on Oregon News, we'll check on the Columbia Gorge recovery from the destructive wildfires last summer, and look at how one high school is improving graduation rates in a creative way. Plus, people are staring at a feathery friend at the University of Oregon, and it's not a duck. All that and more starting right now on Oregon News. Good afternoon and welcome to Oregon News. I'm Sydney Paget.
And I'm Riley Collin. Here are today's top stories. The Thurston school shooter is going to have to serve his entire 111-year sentence. The Oregon Supreme Court ruled yesterday that Kip Kinkle's sentence does not violate his constitutional rights. Kinkle had appealed his sentence, claiming it was cruel and unusual punishment because he was a juvenile when he killed his parents, 2 classmates, and wounded 26 others. Kinkle committed these crimes when he was 15. He is now 35. The state of Oregon is soon to have a new Supreme Court Chief Justice. After 6 years, the Chief of Justice, today, Thomas Balmer, is stepping down and the new chief will take over July 1st. Balmer has been a member of the Supreme Court since 2001 and plans to stay in the High Court afterwards. A replacement has not yet to be named.
The Northern Oregon Regional Correctional Facility is no longer sending detainees to U.S. Immigration and Customs Enforcement, also known as ICE. In the past, if Oregon authorities detained someone for a crime locally, ICE requested they hand them over if they are found to also be violating U.S. immigration laws. This policy change is taking place after resolving a lawsuit with a prisoner who claimed his constitutional rights were violated. The jail's website says it is going to keep ICE detainees, but will no longer hand over those facing local charges. Lane County voters will decide 3 county commissioner races. Mark Grandy takes a look at the contest for West Lane.
The West Lane seat, which spans from just west of Eugene all the way to the coast, is up for grabs on the Board of County Commissioners. Incumbent Jay Bozovich, who has served 2 terms on the board since 2010, is up for re-election. He is facing 2 opponents in the election. In his first 2 terms on the board, Bozovich has helped balance Lane County's budget and improved its bond rating. This time around, his focus is the battle for plastic recycling.
We need to fight for those companies that are doing some reuse of plastic and develop that end user for that here domestically in the U.S. and the county.
Opposing Bozovich on the May 15th ballot is Nora Kent, an instructor in the Adult Basic and Secondary Education program at Lane Community College. She hasn't held public office before. She filed her candidacy in February and says it's been a challenge putting her campaign together in only 3 months. Kent says her time as an instructor makes it clear changes are needed at the county level.
Child care issues, because of health care issues, because someone's ill at home, because they have to move, because there's no affordable housing in Florence anymore for low-income people.
Kent lives in Florence and says people in the area feel excluded from the rest of Lane County.
People are feeling like the left-out poor stepsister out there. They feel like they pay property taxes, but they get very few services in return.
The third candidate is Beverly Hills, but she did not keep her appointment with us to discuss her campaign. Election day is May 15th, and the candidate that receives 50% or more of the vote will take office in January. Mark Grandy, Oregon News.
In other commissioner races, Springfield incumbent Sid Lycan is up for re-election and is being challenged by Springfield businessman Joe Burney. In the East Lane commissioner race, incumbent Gary Williams is facing 5 challengers.
Also coming up on the May 15th ballot, Eugene voters will decide 2 measures for local parks. If passed, Measure 2288 will provide a 5-year levy for Eugene parks and recreation beginning in July. The money would cover a shortfall in operations and maintenance funding. It would also be used to improve cleanliness and safety in the parks. Eugene voters will also decide on Measure 2289, which would authorize a 20-year obligation bond for park renovation projects. For more information on all the candidates and measures, visit Lane County website or check the voters pamphlet in your mailbox. As the Ramadan for Muslim communities approaches, hate crime is a concern within the community. Tiago Costa reports.
Ramadan is nearly here. The Muslims' most important period of the year starts next week. And while the number of hate crimes in Eugene has decreased recently, some Eugene Muslims are concerned about their safety.
I'm the last 2 years, hate speech increased dramatically. I believe that after the last election, the hate speech was very high.
However, an FBI representative says there is no reason to expect trouble.
The FBI is not aware of any particular threat related to the Muslim community or Ramadan in particular in the coming weeks.
Muslims will gather and celebrate the fasting month and be cautious.
We don't use like strong security measures. We have cameras to see who is coming, who is going out from the center.
Members from the mosque consider Eugene a friendly community where several different religions coexist. However, Katie Babbitt's human rights and equity analyst at the Eugene's Office of Human Rights agrees there's always room for improvement.
We've seen one of the most successful ways for communities and individuals to become more inclusive and more aware is by broadening one's horizons to learn about cultures that are not the same as their own. So whether through reading books or reading articles, watching TED Talks, finding research that can help somebody acquaint themselves with a culture that is not like the one that they're so used to.
As Muslims wait for the start of Ramadan, Mullah Yosef echoes Babbitt's sentiment.
When you have people accept each other, we will not have hate speech. So we need to accept each other and love each other.
Tiago Costa for Oregon News.
To know more about the Ramadan in Eugene, find Eugene Islamic Center on Facebook.
And after the break, what you can do in preparation for the fire season, plus why the Beltline is being reconstructed. Got a quarter?
Fire season is back, but some Oregon communities have yet to recover from last summer's wildfires. Kylie DeVries reports on the aftermath of Eagle Creek Fire in the Columbia Gorge.
Although not all community members had their houses burnt down, the fear was real. For residents like Shelley, her entire chicken coop was burnt to the ground in her very own backyard.
My goodness, it was scary.
That's Shelley Pardue, an Eagle Creek resident who nearly lost her home when the fire swept through her backyard back in September. She says coming home to the aftermath was surreal.
It was really weird looking because everything was gone. And everything was black and everything was, it was all burnt.
But the fires took out more than just a chicken coop. This is Multnomah Falls Lodge, a local business that thousands come to visit every year. Jill Willis, the VP of Operations at the lodge, says they are still feeling the effects of the fires nearly 8 months after the flames engulfed the community.
Yeah, it's had a huge economic burden to our business, certainly, because the aftermath of this fire is still, even though it's kind of probably out of the public's mind by now in some form or fashion, it's still very much a presence with us.
Willis says this is the first week they are back to normal business hours. Because of loose and falling trees, the lodge's most popular attractions, including the historic old highway, Benson Bridge, and the hiking path leading to the top, remains closed until it is deemed safe by authorities.
It's definitely affected the way that we're able to use the site because people aren't able to, they came out here to enjoy the hiking and the natural beauty of the area, and that has shifted.
Forest services are still clearing out debris and burnt tree logs from the mountaintops. There is still no timeline for when hiking trails, sightseeing areas, and roads will open again, but like Pardue, the lodge is moving on.
And we're waiting on a bid for the chicken coop so we can rebuild it.
Oh, okay.
And the greenhouse, because the greenhouse got burnt too.
For Oregon News, I'm Kylie DeVries.
The state has a new shuttle system called the Columbia Gorge Express that will make it easier for visitors to travel to Multnomah Lodge from Gateway or free from Rooster Rock.
The Forest Service says the fire danger this year is high and preparations are key to minimizing the devastation. Emma Childs has more.
With wildfire season approaching, controlled burns are being executed throughout the state of Oregon. Prescribed burns are a land management tool. Often teams of firefighters will go out for a couple of days and intentionally burn the forest floor. Some may worry about smoke from the controlled burns and the impact it has on their community.
Like, were you around in Eugene like last summer? Like, there was smoke, right? You're not going to get that with a prescribed burn. You're going to see a little smoke like plume, but you're not going to see anything beyond that.
Controlled burns can only take place when weather conditions are up to par. This includes air temperatures, wind speed, humidity, and when laws and regulations are all in sync. In forests like these that haven't burned in years, on the ground there are a lot of dry leaves, brush, and natural materials, just like this, that are highly flammable. Controlled burns are important for decreasing the buildup of large amounts of those natural materials. The burns can also serve as a purpose for reforestation and increasing seeding vitality. People can be against controlled burning as they fear it will burn their favorite wilderness area or place to hike.
There's more fuel and it's burning hotter, and the climate is making it burn even hotter, and there's more things out there that we value that make the consequences of all that burning even worse.
Even if your favorite place to hike is reduced by a controlled burn this year, know that it's preventing a larger fire from occurring and destroying the surrounding land in the future. Reporting for Oregon News, I'm Emma Childs.
Park officials at Crater Lake are warning visitors to leave their drones at home. Drones have been banned from all national parks since 2014, but rangers from Oregon's only national park have reported drones flying overhead every week. Although drones may be operable in some state parks, Crater Lakes is completely off limits. Users may be faced with a $5,000 fine and up to 6 months jail time.
The intersection between Delta Highway and the Beltline will be getting a major update starting this January. The intersection has been deemed unsafe. This project will be the first of many over the next 4 to 5 years. Transportation spokesperson Angela Beers-Seidel says the interchange is simply scary.
It can be a moment of terror trying to merge on there. It can be terrifying just because people are trying to get into position for wherever they need to go.
The plan is to build a new bridge from North Delta Highway to the West Beltline and to reconfigure the ramps. The Clover interchange from East Beltline to North Delta will go away. Beers-Seidel says that travelers should look at tripcheck.com to see conditions before they go.
In the past year, cryptocurrency prices have soared, but the global market is changing. Sydney Paget reports.
With a single Bitcoin trading at just over $9,000, for many, this is an exciting time to invest in cryptocurrency. These digital currencies are just like money, except they don't use banks. Instead, they rely on high-tech encryption techniques to keep track of transactions. The transfer from one account to another is verified by people called Bitcoin miners. Mining requires very expensive computing equipment and lots of power. Stephen McCann is a national expert on cryptocurrency.
You don't have to be really technologically savvy. You just have to get your hands on the mining equipment and plug it in and make sure it's running.
Once the equipment is plugged in, miners race against other miners to verify blocks of transactions by solving complex math problems. The miner that solves the equation first wins unmined cryptocurrency. Today, a Bitcoin miner will make 12.5 Bitcoin, or just short of $120,000. McCann says the fastest computer has the advantage.
You know, the more hash power you have, the faster the hash rate, the more sort of lottery tickets you get.
But these fast computers need servers that use a lot of power, and that is very expensive. So many miners are moving to countries with cheaper electricity.
What we're seeing is that the mining that's happening is migrating to these low energy cost locations. It really is just a function of the cost of electricity.
Other miners have switched to mining different cryptocurrencies altogether, like Alex Bang. Bang and his roommate began mining Bitcoin a couple years ago, but Bang now says the costs aren't worth the possible rewards.
If you're going to start mining like right now, it would probably not be a good idea to mine Bitcoin because it is such an expensive entry fee.
And with more and more miners entering the market, it has never been more difficult to be a cryptocurrency miner. Reporting for Oregon News, I'm Sydney Paget.
The price of a Bitcoin has gone down since. Today, a successful miner will only make about $110,000.
Coming up, Emma Childs with an update on all things Oregon sports, and Kylie DeVries gives us a peek into the weather forecast for Mother's Day weekend.
I'll never forget the day our landlord called and said, read your lease. No pets allowed. My owner tells him my dog ate the lease, but that didn't work. And now I'm stuck in a shelter. But this pit bull is ready for a new crib. I'm loving, loyal, and play well with others. So don't be intimidated by all my muscles, because the biggest one I have is my heart. That's right, I said it.
Hello and welcome to the Sports Desk. I'm Emma Childs. The number 33 Oregon women's tennis team is currently playing its opening round against the University of Tennessee in its second straight NCAA tournament. Head coach Allison Silverio is relying on their veterans who played last year in the tournament.
1 year of experience under our belts, for our players that have returned, so they're going to be able to help the freshmen through the feelings and the emotions of playing in the NCAA tournament.
This morning in the NCAA tournament, Tennessee recorded the first win of the day at the number 3 spot. They took the doubles point against the Ducks at number 2. The Ducks are playing singles against the Volunteers right now in Durham. The number 2 Oregon softball team is amidst its final season against the number 29 University of California Golden Bears today at 3 p.m. This will be the second game in the series. Beating Cal will give the Ducks the chance to host postseason play here in Eugene. Oregon entered the series tied at number 1 in the Pac-12 with UCLA. At the end of this week, the 2018 Pac-12 champion will be crowned. Last night, the UCLA Bruins lost to Arizona State 3-0. UCLA needs to play 1 game better than Oregon in order to have sole possession of the conference title. If not, they are likely to split it with the Ducks. Watch the Ducks down in Berkeley today at 3 p.m. on the Pac-12 network to see if they will clinch their 5th Pac-12 title in 6 consecutive seasons. The Oregon Ducks baseball team hosts the University of Utah Utes in a 3-game conference series starting tonight at 6 p.m. Oregon is 22-24 on the season and 8-13 in the Pac-12. The Ducks dropped the 4th and final Civil War game of the season against the Oregon State Beavers at home this past Tuesday, 10-0. The Beavers scored 8 runs on 9 hits against 3 of Oregon's pitchers. Sophomore third baseman Spencer Steer hit a home run in 3 straight games during the UC Irvine series. The last Duck to hit a homer in 3 straight games was Scott Heineman in April of 2013. Ducks look for conference redemption this weekend. Head over to PK Park tonight at 6 p.m. to catch Game 1 of the Utah series. Game 2 is set for Saturday at 2 p.m., and Game 3 is at noon on Sunday. Oregon Track and Field heads to Stanford for the Pac-12 championships this weekend. Expectations are high as the Oregon women's team comes off of a historic run, last year winning the first Triple Crown title in NCAA history. The team expects to extend their Pac-12 championship winning streak to 10 years on the women's side and 12 on the men's. All-American middle distance runner and transfer from Georgetown, Sabrina Sutherland will compete for her first time in the Pac-12s.
So we're hoping to just maintain that streak going into this weekend. And as a newcomer, it's really exciting. I feel like we can do it again. Well, personally, for the first time.
The Ducks already have 3 points towards their final score after Kylie O'Connor and Austin Torres finished 6th in the heptathlon and decathlon respectively. All-American middle distance runner Brooke Feldemeyer will not be on the roster this weekend because she is pursuing a professional track career. The Pac-12 Track and Field Championship meet will begin Saturday at 12 p.m. and end Sunday. University of Oregon head football coach Mario Cristobal has announced promotions for 3 members of his coaching staff: Marcus Arroyo, Joe Salavea, and Keith Hayward. Arroyo currently serves as the co-offensive coordinator and assistant game coordinator, and will now serve as assistant head coach, offensive coordinator, and quarterbacks coach. Hayward will work now with Salavea as co-defensive coordinator. Hayward will continue his role as safeties coach.
Alongside Hayward, Salavea will continue his role as associate head coach and will be adding co-defensive coordinator and run game coordinator for the defensive team to his title. Both coaches will continue to work with Jim Levitt on the defense. There are no reported races for any of these promotions. Oregon's defense improved from 115th to 46th during the 2017 season when Salavea, Hayward, and Levitt began their coaching terms with Oregon. Now that's a wrap for the sports desk. So Kylie, if I want to go to the baseball game Saturday, should I bring a rain jacket?
Actually, Emma, it looks like you can keep that rain jacket in the closet for now. Good news, Oregon. Oregon is heating up just in time for Mother's Day with clear skies coming your way. If you're planning on sticking around in Eugene this weekend, today we're expecting partly sunny skies with calm winds at a high of 64 degrees and a low of 45. Looking ahead to tomorrow, it might be time to put away your sweaters and rain jackets because things should be warming up a little. With clear and sunny skies at a high of 76 degrees just afternoon and a low of 49 degrees later in the evening. You might want to consider some outdoor activities on Sunday because Eugene is bringing the heat. You can expect sunny clear skies with a high of 83 and a low of about 51 degrees at night. For those of you planning on heading up to Portland, weather is looking just a little bit warmer today, but tomorrow you can expect to see slight fog that should clear out by noon. Temperatures are expected to rise to a high of about 81 and a low of about 56 later in the evening. Sunday is when you're really going to want to get out and soak up the sun with completely clear and sunny skies at a high of 88 and a low of 55 at the end of the day. Moving eastward to Bend, luckily there aren't expecting any rain in today's forecast, but expect partly cloudy skies with a high of 60 and a low of 42 overnight. Saturday, you could expect a perfect day for a hike with clear and sunny skies, a high of 70 and a low of about 47 degrees. Sunday, you might want to consider heading up to the river and soaking up the sun before the clouds roll in next week. It should be sunny throughout the day with high humidity and no chance of rain. If you're planning on heading westward to the coast this weekend, Florence might be the perfect spot for you. Today will be slightly more cloudy than the rest of the weekend, but don't worry because it will be clear and sunny going into Saturday with a high of 65 and a low of 49 later in the day. Rolling into Sunday only gets better, and it might be a perfect day for a picnic on the beach because it will be heating up to a high of about 75 and a low of 51. That's all for this weekend's forecast. Back to you guys at the news desk.
Thanks, Kylie. College graduation rates are declining while high school students' grad rates are on the rise. We'll talk about both when we return.
There was an old woman who lived in a shoe. She had so many children, she didn't know what to do. She gave them some broth without any bread and kissed them all soundly and put them to bed. Hunger is a story we can end. End it at feedingamerica.org.
More students are receiving their high school diplomas than ever before, but it's not the same for students graduating from college. Our Jillian Smuckler has more.
As a fifth-year college senior at the University of Oregon, Cosme Velasquez says a year ago he wasn't sure he would be here.
It was a big burden being a fifth-year senior, taking these extra classes, this extra loan money, it was a big decision.
In fact, it was a $10,000 decision, which is the tuition he paid for the extra term of school. And he is not the only one struggling to finish school.
Over the past 4 years, college graduation rates have declined nationally. And here at the University of Oregon, students show up for freshman orientation here at Matthew Knight Arena, but some never return for graduation.
Associate Director of Student Services for the School of Journalism and Communication, Miranda Atkinson, says she's seen a variety of barriers.
So there are a lot of different reasons why people struggle to graduate when they'd like to. But anecdotally, I would say over the past 5 to 8 years, finances is one of the main reasons that holds people back, and then also mental health.
The National Student Clearinghouse Research Center found that just 40% of college students earn a degree in 4 years. 53% of students who started a 4-year degree program have graduated 6 years later. This trend is common among universities throughout the country, making 6 years the new norm for achieving a bachelor's degree. University of Oregon President Michael Schill says, quote, "At the U of O, only half of our students graduate in 4 years, and only 69% earn a degree by their 6th year in college. We absolutely must, as an institution, examine why, and then we must tear those barriers down." His goal is to increase scholarship opportunities, college preparation at the K-12 level, as well as invest in advising. For students like Cosme Velasquez, he says he is glad he stuck it out despite the extra cost and time.
It's a tough decision, but I don't regret it at all.
For Oregon News, I'm Jillian Smuckler.
Alrighty, thanks, Jill. Thanks to a unique music program, the Springfield High School graduation rate is rising. Lauren Rodriguez reports.
Members of the music program at Springfield High School are learning how to play mariachi music, which isn't common in the state of Oregon. In fact, Springfield High School is the only school in Lane County to have a program like this. Mariachi is music that dates back to the 18th century and originated in Jalisco, Mexico. Sophomore trumpet player Tiago Rodriguez says what the program means to him.
My favorite part of being in it is all the friends and practically family that I see every other day here. We have challenges and we always overcome them somehow. We always do, and no matter how difficult the music is or whatever, the spirit of all of our group keeps us going.
The mariachi program has even created a band called Mariachi del Sol. The band consists of instruments such as the guitarrón, the vihuela, and even the violin.
The program started 13 years ago, but now has a new director. It's John Bridges' first year as director of the mariachi program, and he speaks about how the mariachi performances have impacted him and the students.
We just performed at some retirement homes for Cinco de Mayo, and seeing, a 79-year-old woman who turns 80 this week get up and dance. Even though she could only stand for a few minutes at a time, she got up and danced to our music. And it makes such an impact on me and the students that it's really indescribable.
Mariachi del Sol performs about 30 times throughout the school year at locations all around the Eugene area. For Oregon News, I'm Lauren Rodriguez.
To find out where the band will be playing next, check out their Facebook page, SHS Miller Band.
There is something growing on top of the University of Oregon Law School. If you stand across the street from the law school at 15th and Agate, you'll see a nest on top of a building. An osprey pair has been taking turns protecting 3 eggs and keeping them warm. With help from donors, the law school has installed a live webcam on top of the nest. If you want to watch the nest activity and get a bird's eye view of the eggs, you can search the word osprey on the UO Law School website. The eggs are expected to hatch by the end of the month. The law school is hopeful there will be baby ospreys at their graduation ceremony.
Gambling in Oregon just got faster and flashier, but at a cost. The Oregon Lottery just updated its software, but the upgrade caused the jackpot on machines like this to reset to the minimum, lowering the amount of money people can win. Because the growing jackpot amount was not being tracked, there is no record of what the jackpot was prior to the upgrade. And since the old technology couldn't handle the upgrade, players were not able to win the money they were expecting to win. And the money that was not distributed because of the upgrade has gone to schools and parks.
At the University of Oregon's EMU is incorporating student voices in a public art display. Construction workers used big blocks of ice to place the large stones yesterday, waiting for the ice to melt, leaving the stone in perfect place. The stone artwork includes original text, prose, and poetry from UO students. There will be 6 stones in total surrounding the EMU lawn. The Portland artist, Adam Kuby, said he hoped to integrate student voices in a permanent public art display.
Thanks for being with us for Oregon News today. We'll be back on Monday with Oregon updates.
And have a great Mother's Day.